So Liam Lawson might have just ruined his F1 career entirely. Now I made a video the other day about Liam Lawson and how he might have already ruined his Red Bull career, so go and watch that one before you watch this one just to get a little bit of context and then come straight back to this one right after you've watched it. But for rumour is, Red Bull are going to replace Liam Lawson with Yuki Tsunoda for the next race in Japan, and I'll talk more about Yuki Tsunoda in just a few seconds. But what's even worse for Liam Lawson is they're not even going to send him back to VCARB, they're going to chuck him out of F1 entirely, which in my opinion isn't really that fair. Christian Horner and Helmut Marko have apparently been seen talking to Flavio Briatore, the manager of Alpine, to get Franco Colapinto into the VCARB. But after all this hype about Liam Lawson for the last 2 seasons in F1 about him potentially getting a full-time seat, for him to be chucked out after just 2 races is very disappointing and just not fair at all. Look, whether or not that car's solely designed around Max Verstappen doesn't really matter. Liam Lawson has not been good enough at all for the first 2 races of 2025. He came last in both sprint qualifying and the main qualifying itself during the Chinese Grand Prix weekend, which is solely not good enough, and then he wasn't even able to make his way through the field in the race, just like he wasn't able to in Australia. And on top of a really poor race in Australia, it's caused Red Bull to fall quite far behind in the Constructors Championship. A Constructors Championship, by the way, they're already on a back foot on, and it's already looking like McLaren are running away with it. But it's replacing Liam Lawson with Yuki Tsunoda the right thing for Red Bull? Well, it's kind of a difficult question to answer. Since Lawson got announced as the Red Bull driver, I've always thought it should have been Yuki. All day it should have been Yuki. He was much better than Liam Lawson in qualifying and the races last year when Liam Lawson was his teammate. And ultimately it just made no sense for Red Bull to put Lawson in the main car instead of Yuki Tsunoda. And obviously I think Red Bull have realised that now, otherwise there wouldn't be this talk about Lawson potentially being replaced by Tsunoda for Japan. So why now am I questioning if Yuki Tsunoda should go to the second Red Bull seat? Well, if Red Bull are going to completely throw out Liam Lawson and ruin his F1 career entirely after just 2 races, well, let's say now Yuki Tsunoda does the same thing and doesn't perform at all. Red Bull won't keep him on for 2026, no chance, and Yuki Tsunoda's F1 career will be ruined, just like Liam Lawson's is about to be. And I really don't think Yuki Tsunoda deserves to be another victim to the Red Bull second driver curse. So let's take a look at all the other failed Red Bull drivers. It all started in 2019 when Ricciardo went to Renault and Red Bull replaced Ricciardo with Pierre Gasly. Gasly was very impressive in 2018. He was consistently beating his teammate Brendan Hartley, and obviously he got the Red Bull seat from that. However, when he went to Red Bull in 2019, he was nowhere near Max Verstappen. He got eliminated in the first race of Q1. However, when Gasly went to Red Bull, he was nowhere near Max Verstappen. He got eliminated in Q1 at the first race in Australia, and he was never consistent at all throughout the whole of his time at Red Bull in 2019. He never came close to even getting a podium in the Red Bull, and in Austria, Max Verstappen lapped him, which you should never be getting lapped by your teammate in any car. Thanks to that, Red Bull put Pierre Gasly back in the Toro Rosso, which it was called at the time, and all of a sudden, Pierre Gasly was doing good again, and he even got a podium in Brazil. So who did Red Bull replace Pierre Gasly with? They replaced him with Alex Albon, and to be fair, for the first half of 2019 where Alex Albon was at Red Bull, he was actually really good. He was only a few tenths off Verstappen. Yes, he wasn't matching him, but he was doing a solid job, and he probably would have got a podium in Brazil if Lewis Hamilton didn't crash into him. So thanks to that, Red Bull kept Alex Albon on for 2020, and in the first race he wasn't doing too bad, and he probably could have got a podium. Maybe he even could have won it if Lewis Hamilton didn't crash into him again. But because of that, he didn't score points in the race. He actually DNF'd, and he never really bounced back from it at Red Bull. He was nowhere near Verstappen, and he failed to reach Q3 on multiple occasions, and because of that, Red Bull sent him to DTM for 2021. He returned to F1 in 2022 with Williams, and he was able to recover from it. And now Alex Albon is known as one of the better drivers on the grid. Sergio Perez was Alex Albon's replacement, and to be fair, he did a solid job for the first few seasons. He even got a few wins along the way. However, we all know what happened in 2024, and I don't need to say too much about why Perez got booted out of Red Bull last season. But the problem now for Yuki Tsunoda is I don't think he'll be able to get the best out of the Red Bull. He'll still do a better job than Liam Lawson, I think, but he'll still be nowhere near Max Verstappen. And I feel like it's guaranteed that if Yuki doesn't do well at all this season in Red Bull, that's if he gets the seat, these are all just rumours at the moment and nothing's been confirmed, then he'll ruin his F1 career, because like I said, Red Bull won't keep him on for 2026 and no other team will want him. Yuki's obviously not going to want to miss out on the opportunity to race with one of the top cars, so obviously he's going to take it. But I feel like if Yuki struggles in the Red Bull, then it's going to say a lot about the Red Bull car itself. So far in 2025, Yuki Tsunoda's been absolutely brilliant. He's got a top 5 in qualifying. I can't remember if it was in China or Australia, but he's still done really, really well, and he's been solid. However, if he then goes on to have worse results driving for the better car, which is the Red Bull, then it's going to go on and say quite a lot about how the Red Bull is solely designed around Max Verstappen. And for me, Red Bull need to stop ruining all these drivers' careers. Like, they've ruined Checo's career, Sergio Perez. They're about to ruin Liam Lawson's career after just 2 races, which I think is absolutely brutal and unfair. Like, surely Red Bull now need to stop focusing on designing that car around Verstappen. Yes, Verstappen is one of the best drivers on the grid at the moment, hands down. But if they want to be in the fight for the Constructors Championships in the next few seasons, they've got to stop designing that car around Verstappen. The only reason they won the Constructors Championship over the last few seasons, apart from 2024, is because Verstappen was so dominant. And the only reason Sergio Perez didn't look too bad in 2023 was because the Red Bull car itself was so dominant, no one could match them. And as soon as other teams caught Red Bull up, it exposed Perez and the Red Bull, and they were nowhere in the Constructors. They lost so many points during the last season. Isn't it funny how Pierre Gasly, one of the best drivers on the F1 grid, did so poor in the Red Bull, but the second he gets out of the Red Bull car, he's amazing again. The same for Alex Albon. Liam Lawson hasn't even been a bad driver in F1. It's just he can't drive the Red Bull like all the other drivers because it doesn't suit his driving style at all. And I just feel the same's going to happen to Yuki Tsunoda now. Anyway, let me know your thoughts on that in the comments. Do you think Red Bull are being fair towards Liam Lawson? And do you think Yuki Tsunoda will do a good job in the Red Bull? Thank you so much for watching. Subscribe to the channel for more F1 content, and I'll see you all in the next one.